suffering succotash, son.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
Riley, Randy, Jimmy. This is my yard now. Suplex City, bitch.
Welcome to another episode of Willpower Wrestling here on the Will Glasband YouTube channel. So you've already read the title. You know what we're getting into tonight on this episode. It's the 424 edition of SmackDown Live, the first SmackDown after the Superstar Shakeup last week, and there's been a lot of new additions to the SmackDown roster. There isn't that much TV time either. It's only a 2-hour show. So how well did SmackDown do at fitting in this new crop of talent into their show? Well, let's find out. So the show opened with some more tribute to Bruno Sammartino. Rest in peace, Bruno. And then we had a Miz TV segment with not Daniel Bryan, but Big Cass coming out instead. He came out wearing a 3-piece suit. The man looked like he took a page out of the Miz's book himself. And they had an interesting segment. At first, I thought these two were going to align forces to take out Daniel Bryan since they both hate Daniel Bryan. But the Miz was steering away from that. He said, hey, Big Cass, I don't know what you're thinking, but I don't need you to beat Daniel Bryan. And I really like that because the Miz, he's a cocky heel. He shouldn't think he needs to beat anyone or shouldn't think he needs anyone to beat Daniel Bryan because he thinks he's so superior to Daniel Bryan already. So I like that little touch there, a little bit of a swerve. But as the segment went on and developed, Big Cass cut a really interesting promo. He said that Daniel Bryan reminds him of himself when he was smaller, when he was a kid in high school and wasn't 7 foot tall yet. And you can't teach that, which the crowd did chant along with when Big Cass said, I'm 7 foot tall. So rest in peace, Enzo. But he said that Daniel Bryan reminded him of himself when he was a young, weak man, and he despises Daniel Bryan for that. He also touched upon Daniel Bryan and himself being medically cleared on the same day and how, because of that, nobody was talking about Big Cass being cleared. They were all talking about Daniel Bryan being the one that was medically cleared, and now he has to live in the shadow of this puny 5'7" man when he's this big 7-foot brute. So good stuff there from Big Cass. I think this was the best he's looked on the microphone since he turned heel last year. This was the best Big Cass has really looked in general as a solo performer in WWE. And by the end of the promo, The Miz looked both scared and impressed with Big Cass. So I think their unity to take out Daniel Bryan is inevitable. And we'll see that sooner rather than later, since it was announced later in the night that Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan is official for the Backlash pay-per-view. And immediately after that segment, we had Daniel Bryan backstage, but he's laid out and he's clutching at his arm. Someone assaulted Daniel Bryan backstage. We'd later find out it was Big Cass that did so. And Daniel Bryan, he wasn't able to have an in-ring segment tonight. He was in the trainer's office later on in the night with bandaging all around him, an ice pack on his shoulder. And he vowed that although he's injured now, in storyline, he's injured now, he's come back from far worse, and he still will compete in the greatest Royal Rumble event this Friday in Saudi Arabia, and he vows to win that event as well. So I hope Daniel Bryan does win. He's my pick to win. I think it'd be a really nice sentiment for WWE to have Daniel Bryan win, considering all the crap that they put the fans through in previous Royal Rumble matches with Daniel Bryan. Give the fans a bone here and have Daniel Bryan pick up the win. I'm torn if it's going to be him winning or Braun Strowman, but my heart wants Daniel Bryan to win this match this Friday. And then in the first official match of the night, the Iconics, they took on Becky Lynch and Asuka, and get this, they actually won. Becky Lynch was pinned after a roll-up by Peyton Royce. So Asuka, her SmackDown debut ends in a loss, although she wasn't the one to get pinned. Her winning streak is deader than dead. So the Iconics, they build up some nice momentum here, and man, I feel bad for Becky Lynch. She has no momentum at all. She cannot buy a victory for her life. So No sign of Becky Lynch getting a push anytime soon. And Asuka starting off a little slow on SmackDown, but the Iconics picking up a nice victory moving forward for them. Then there was Jimmy Uso versus Eric Rowan. And before that match, we had a backstage segment with Jimmy Uso and his wife, Naomi. She begged him not to have this match. She said, "I'm not sure that you know what you're doing here. I'm a little scared for you." Last week when I looked Eric Rowan and Luke Harper in the eyes, I saw nothing. There was nothing at all. But that doesn't really explain the outcome to this match because Uso and Eric Rowan did end up wrestling each other, and Uso picked up the win after nailing a super kick on Eric Rowan and rolling him up for the 1-2-3 after a distraction by Naomi. Naomi, during the match, her entrance music hit. She came out to the ring and she started twerking. I kid you not. Naomi started twerking on the entrance ramp. She distracted both Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. And that's how Jimmy Uso picked up the win. So even though she saw nothing in their eyes last week, they were still distracted by the booty. So that's how the Usos picked up the win here heading into the Greatest Royal Rumble match. Then we had a contract signing between Carmella and Charlotte Flair for their match at Backlash for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And this was hard to sit through at some points. Carmella was really healing it up here. She played a video package, the same one we saw last week. She played it 2 times and was playing it a 3rd time in a row, saying, "I want you guys to cheer for me." And of course, the crowd isn't going to cheer for this woman. So that was very annoying, and it made me boo Carmella. So mission accomplished, but man, I was annoyed watching this. And when Charlotte finally came out to the ring, she didn't have to say much. She simply said, "Woo!" her trademark Ric Flair woo, and smashed Carmella's face onto the contract signing table, flipped the table over on Carmella, and that was it. The Queen looking dominant on her way to Backlash, since these ladies, unfortunately, will not be able to wrestle at the Greatest Royal Rumble event. And just speaking of the Greatest Royal Rumble event, there were so many advertisements for that show throughout the night. It was crazy. WWE, I'm surprised how hard they're pushing this. It just makes me wonder how much money is Saudi Arabia paying WWE to have this event, because they are promoting the crap out of this show. And I hope it's a good show for everyone's sake, the fans, WWE, Saudi Arabia, everyone involved. The Bar had a backstage segment with the New Day. This was quick and to the point. The Bar basically making some fun of the New Day, and the New Day, they were celebrating the release of their book, Booty. Don't Be It, Love It, Share It, whatever the title is. And they were having champagne glasses full of cereal and eating pancakes. And the Bar just had to ruin their fun. So that could be a fun rivalry right there, the Bar versus a New Day, maybe sometime down the line. And just watching this segment, it made me think, I don't think we're going to be getting Big E as a singles act anytime soon. I see his foreseeable future still being as part of a tag team with the New Day. And in what was supposed to be a match between Jeff Hardy and Shelton Benjamin, a rematch from last week, instead we had Randy Orton paying back Jeff Hardy the favor for Hardy interrupting Randy Orton during his entrance last week. Orton did the exact same thing to Hardy this week. We had Shelton Benjamin versus Randy Orton, and Shelton Benjamin actually picking up the victory following a distraction by a Singh brother who assaulted Jeff Hardy while Hardy was watching the match on the outside of the ring. Randy Orton then gave the Singh brother an RKO, and Shelton Benjamin, as soon as Orton turned around, nailed him with his pay dirt finishing move, and Shelton getting the 1-2-3 on Randy Orton. That was surprising. And Orton, man, he is losing a lot lately. He is not nearly as protected as he once was once upon a time. So this gives Shelton some nice momentum and gives me some hope that he'll become a prominent role player in the United States Championship scene and maybe even higher up on the card as the year progresses. And the main event. This is really the highlight of the show. Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev Day, Aiden English and Rusev, of course, taking on AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson, the newly reformed club. And a couple things to take away from this match. There was a remix of Nakamura's entrance music, and I was interested how Nakamura was going to come off as a heel now. He can't be dancing to the ring anymore, and I really, really, really liked what WWE did with his entrance and his entrance music. He now has a remixed version where there's some Japanese lyrics, and it's overall a little bit darker. The name of the song, instead of being The Rising Sun, it's now Shadows of the Setting Sun. So some good wordplay there as well. But there's some Japanese vocals and lyrics in the song. The font color for Shinsuke Nakamura on the Titantron is different. Instead of having that obnoxious yellow Chinese takeout font for Shinsuke Nakamura, it now has red lettering in a normal font, kind of like his NXT font with a black backdrop. So Shinsuke really digging his entrance, and it was badass to say the least. And this was no barn burner of a match, really. Pretty standard stuff here. The best stuff was at the ending when Shinsuke Nakamura, he nailed the Kinshasa on Luke Gallows when Luke Gallows had his back turned, and Shinsuke picked up the 1-2-3 for his team with that. After the match, Shinsuke and AJ Styles got into it a little bit when, surprise, surprise, Shinsuke Nakamura nails AJ Styles with another low blow. This got a visceral reaction out of me. When Shinsuke did this, I yelled out, "Stop hitting this man in the dick. Please, just stop it, son of a bitch." Shinsuke Nakamura is getting on my nerves with all these low blows. So I want to see AJ Styles kick Shinsuke Nakamura's ass at the Greatest Royal Rumble event. And I'm thinking AJ, after all these nut shots, he's going to let his emotions get the better of him at the Greatest Royal Rumble event. And AJ is going to be the one low-blowing Shinsuke in that match for a DQ loss. But that's what I'm thinking is going to happen at this point. After the match, after Shinsuke low-blowed AJ Styles, Shinsuke was going for a Kinshasa on AJ. But Carl Anderson, being a good brother, took a bullet for AJ Styles. He dove in front of that Kinshasa and ate it. And then Shinsuke Nakamura lined up for another Kinshasa, and AJ, helpless, battered, beat down. He's trying to stop this from happening. He doesn't want to see his brother, Carl Anderson, get hit with another Kinshasa. He can't do anything about it, though. He's completely helpless, too beaten down. And Anderson eats another Kinshasa from Shinsuke Nakamura. This reminded me of a death scene from Game of Thrones. This is like someone getting beheaded in Game of Thrones. This is the helplessness and the sense of urgency and the ruthlessness by Shinsuke Nakamura here. This was good stuff. And Shinsuke, really impressive as a heel. He's getting on my nerves. He's more badass than ever, though, and he is just a vicious heel. And I feel like we see so much more of his personality through this new heel persona that he has going on. So that was SmackDown in a nutshell for this week. Let me know what you thought about this week's edition of SmackDown in the comment section below. And go ahead, follow the Instagram page if you'd like. It's at Will Glasband, same spelling as the YouTube channel. And check out the Facebook page too. It's facebook.com/WillPowerRadioShow1. Since I do a show discussing pro wrestling every Monday from about 2:30 to 4 p.m. on KKSM AM 1320, which can also be found on PalomarCollegeRadio.com. So if you like this, check out that radio show and check out the social medias too. With that being said, I will catch you later next time the bell rings here on Will Power Wrestling.